And for years now, 3 years, I've never said the name of my shop in my videos because I was always afraid that someone might go to my business page and leave bad reviews because they didn't like something that I said in a video. But guys, this is my shop, Lakeside Small Engine.
Most people believe that becoming a successful YouTuber means living a life full of easy money, flexible hours, and very little stress. From the outside, it looks like a dream life where someone simply turns on a camera, uploads a video, and watches the views and money roll in. But the reality behind that screen is often very different. On October 14th, 2023, a well-known creator shocked her audience by revealing a truth that many people never see. Standing inside her small engine repair shop, she spoke directly to her viewers with honesty and emotion. She admitted that she had been hiding something important, not because she wanted to lie, but because she didn't want to worry or confuse her loyal customers. However, the time had come when she could no longer keep it to herself. She explained that people were traveling from across the country to visit her shop, and she did not want anyone to arrive only to find the doors closed. That moment marked the beginning of a story that goes far deeper than just closing a business. It was not just about shutting down a shop. It was about years of hard work, personal sacrifice, and the hidden struggles of balancing real life with internet fame. Her message was simple but heavy. The life people see online is only a small part of the truth. Behind every successful video is a person dealing with pressure, exhaustion, and difficult choices. As she spoke, it became clear that this was not just an announcement, but a turning point. Her shop, which had once been full of noise, tools, and busy customers, was now quiet and uncertain. The same place that had brought her pride and purpose for years was becoming something she could no longer manage. This moment broke the illusion for many viewers who believed that success online automatically makes life easier. Instead, it showed that sometimes success can actually make life more complicated. The more her channel grew, the more pressure she faced to keep up with expectations. This opening moment sets the tone for the entire story, showing that what looks like success from the outside can hide a much more difficult reality underneath. To truly understand why this moment was so important, it is necessary to look back at how everything started. Long before the cameras, the views, and the online fame, there was a simple goal: to build a stable and honest business. She spent years learning small engine repair, studying the details of how machines work and how to fix them when they break. It was not an easy path, but it was one built on real skills and determination. Alongside her husband, she opened a small repair shop that focused on helping everyday people fix their equipment. This was the kind of business that many communities depend on, where customers bring in broken lawnmowers, chainsaws, and other tools, trusting that they will be repaired with care. For over a decade, their shop became a part of the local community. It was not glamorous work. The days were long, often stretching to 10 or even 12 hours. There were no regular vacations, no easy breaks, and very little time to relax. Running a small business requires constant effort, and every problem becomes your responsibility. Despite the challenges, there was pride in the work. Fixing something that was broken and returning it to its owner gave a sense of purpose that money alone cannot provide. However, as time went on, the workload increased and the pressure began to build. Customers expected fast service, parts became more expensive, and managing everything started to feel overwhelming. It was during this time that she made a decision that would change everything. She decided to start recording videos and sharing her work online. At first, it was just a simple idea, a way to show people how repairs are done, and maybe earn a little extra income. She would finish long days at the shop and then stay up late at night editing videos. It was exhausting, but she believed in what she was doing. Slowly, her channel began to grow. More people started watching, learning, and sharing her content. What started as a small side project began turning into something much bigger than she had expected. As her online presence grew, her life began to change in ways she had never imagined. The videos that she once made late at night after long workdays started gaining attention from thousands and then millions of viewers. People were not just watching for entertainment. They were learning valuable skills from her content. She became known as someone who could explain complex repairs in a simple and honest way. This connection with her audience was one of the main reasons for her success. However, With that success came a new kind of pressure. The internet never stops, and once an audience expects regular content, it becomes difficult to slow down. If she missed uploads or reduced her activity, views could drop and the channel's growth could slow. This created a constant cycle where she felt the need to keep producing videos, no matter how tired she was. At the same time, her repair shop still needed her full attention. Customers continued to bring in equipment, expecting the same level of service as before. Balancing these two worlds became increasingly difficult. On one side, there was the physical work of running a business, dealing with machines, customers, and daily challenges. On the other side, there was the digital world, where content needed to be created, edited, and shared regularly. Trying to succeed in both at the same time began to take a serious toll on her health and well-being. The more successful she became online, the harder it was to manage her real-life responsibilities. This is a problem many creators face but rarely talk about. From the outside, it looks like growth and success, but behind the scenes, it can feel like being trapped in an endless cycle of work. Over time, the stress began to affect not just her, but also her family and business. What once felt like an exciting opportunity was slowly turning into a heavy burden that she could no longer ignore. As the pressure continued to build, the reality of running both a growing YouTube channel and a demanding physical business became harder to manage with each passing day. What many viewers did not see was how exhausting this double life had become. During the day, she was fully focused on repairing machines, dealing with customers, ordering parts, and solving unexpected problems that come with running a small shop. Every broken engine brought a new challenge, and every customer expected quick and reliable service. Then, when the shop finally closed for the day, her work was far from over. Instead of resting, she would shift into content creator mode. This meant setting up cameras, reviewing footage, editing videos, and preparing content for upload. These tasks often stretched late into the night, sometimes until midnight or even later. Over time, this routine started to feel less like a passion and more like a never-ending cycle. Sleep became shorter, stress became higher, and the line between work and personal life began to disappear. Even though her channel was growing and bringing in more income, the physical and mental cost was becoming too high. At the same time, the shop itself was facing serious challenges. Some customers would leave their equipment for months without paying, while others would try to avoid costs by making false claims. Parts were becoming more expensive and harder to get, which made repairs slower and less profitable. Seasonal changes made things even worse, with busy summers followed by slow winters where income dropped sharply. This unpredictable flow of money made it difficult to plan for the future. While online success was bringing new opportunities, it also created new responsibilities. Sponsors began reaching out, expecting professional content and regular uploads. The more successful she became, the more people depended on her consistency. It was no longer just about sharing helpful videos. It had become a business of its own. The pressure to perform, both online and offline, created a situation where she felt stuck. She could not easily step back from either side without risking everything she had built. This constant tension slowly drained her energy and motivation. What once felt exciting now felt overwhelming, and the joy she once found in her work started to fade. The dream of success was slowly turning into a heavy burden that she carried every single day. While the workload alone was enough to create serious stress, there were also emotional challenges that made the situation even more difficult. One of the biggest fears she faced came from the online world itself. Even though she had built a loyal and supportive audience, the internet can also be a harsh and unpredictable place. Negative comments, criticism, and online trolls are something many creators deal with, but for her, the risk felt even more personal. Because she owned a physical business, any online backlash could directly affect her real-life income. A single angry viewer could leave false reviews or spread negative information about her shop, damaging her reputation in the local community. This fear led her to take extra precautions. For several years, she avoided even mentioning the name of her shop in her videos. She kept that part of her life hidden, hoping to protect her business from potential harm. However, living this way created another kind of stress. It felt like she was living two separate lives, one online and one offline. both requiring constant attention and care. Maintaining this balance was not easy, and over time, it became emotionally exhausting. At the same time, the expectations from her audience continued to grow. People came to her channel not only for repair tips but also for entertainment and personality. They expected honesty, consistency, and high-quality content. Meeting these expectations required constant effort and focus. There was always the fear that if she slowed down or changed direction, she might lose the support she had worked so hard to build. This fear kept her pushing forward, even when she felt tired and overwhelmed. The combination of physical exhaustion, financial pressure, and emotional stress created a situation where burnout became almost unavoidable. Burnout is not something that happens overnight. It builds slowly over time. At first, it might feel like simple tiredness, but eventually, it turns into a deeper sense of frustration and loss of motivation. For her, this process had been developing for years. By the time she reached her breaking point, it was clear that something had to change. Continuing the same way was no longer possible. The shop, once a place of pride and achievement, was starting to feel like a source of stress and pressure. This shift in feeling was one of the clearest signs that the situation could not continue as it was. The final decision to close the shop was not made in a single moment, but was the result of many smaller problems adding up over time. One of the most serious issues came from the physical condition of the building itself. After years of use, the shop was starting to show signs of wear and damage. The structure needed repairs and upgrades that would cost a significant amount of money. Investing in those repairs was a difficult decision because there was no guarantee that the business would continue to be profitable in the long term. At the same time, her husband, who played a major role in the business, was facing serious health issues. Years of heavy physical work had taken a toll on his body, especially his hips. The kind of work required in a repair shop often involves lifting heavy equipment and working in physically demanding conditions. Over time, this can lead to long-term health problems. Doctors advised him to avoid heavy lifting, which made it difficult for him to continue working in the same way as before. This created a major challenge for the business because both partners were essential to its operation. Without his ability to handle the heavier tasks, the workload would fall entirely on her, which was not realistic given everything else she was already managing. Financially, the situation also became harder to sustain. Repair work often brings in limited income compared to the time and effort required. In contrast, creating videos had the potential to earn more money in less time. This created a difficult choice between continuing the physical business or focusing more on the digital one. Over time, it became clear that trying to do both was no longer practical. The emotional weight of the decision was heavy because closing the shop meant letting go of something that had been a major part of her life for many years. It also meant saying goodbye to customers who trusted her and depended on her services. Despite these challenges, there was also a sense of relief in the decision. Closing the shop meant removing a major source of stress and allowing her to focus on a more sustainable path. It was not an easy choice, but it was a necessary one. This moment marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, even though the future was still uncertain. After the shop was officially closed, life did not suddenly become easy or stress-free. In fact, a new and unexpected challenge began to appear, one that came not from the physical world but from the digital space she depended on. Just when it seemed like stepping away from the shop would solve many of her problems, a different kind of threat started to grow. This threat was connected to the rapid rise of artificial intelligence. At first, it seemed harmless, something people used to create images or write simple text. But soon, it became much more serious. She started noticing videos online that looked very similar to her content. These videos had her face, her voice, and even her style of explaining things. However, they were not created by her. They were made using deepfake technology, a tool that can copy a person's appearance and voice in a very realistic way. This situation was both confusing and frightening. Viewers who trusted her content could easily be misled by these fake videos, believing they were watching real advice. This created a serious risk, especially because her content involved repairing machines. Incorrect instructions could lead to damage, accidents, or even injuries. The idea that someone could misuse her identity in this way was deeply troubling. It was not just about losing views or money. It was about losing control over her own image and reputation. For years, she had worked hard to build trust with her audience, sharing honest and helpful content. Now, that trust was being threatened by something she could not fully control. Reporting these fake videos was difficult and often slow. Even when one video was removed, new ones would quickly appear. This made it feel like an endless battle where the problem kept growing instead of shrinking. The emotional impact of this situation was significant. After dealing with the stress of closing her shop, she now had to worry about protecting her identity online. The internet, which had once been a place of opportunity and growth, was becoming a source of anxiety. Despite these challenges, she did not give up. She continued to speak openly about the issue, warning her audience about fake content and encouraging them to verify what they were watching. This experience showed a new side of the digital world, one that many people are still trying to understand. It highlighted how quickly technology can create new problems, even as it offers new opportunities. For her, this was another test of resilience, forcing her to adapt once again to a changing environment. As if dealing with digital identity issues was not enough, another serious challenge began to affect her work, this time involving regulations and legal concerns. The world of small engine repair is more complex than it may seem, especially when it comes to environmental rules. Governments and organizations have created laws to control emissions and reduce pollution, which is an important goal for protecting the environment. However, these regulations can sometimes create difficulties for mechanics and everyday people who simply want to repair their equipment. In her case, these rules started to directly impact the type of content she could create and share. Certain repair techniques, especially those involving adjustments to carburetors or engine performance, were being restricted. The idea behind these rules was to prevent people from modifying machines in ways that could increase pollution. While the intention may have been positive, the result created confusion and frustration for many mechanics. From her point of view, repairing an engine properly often helps it run more efficiently and produce less pollution. Preventing people from making these adjustments could actually lead to worse outcomes, as poorly maintained machines might produce more emissions. This situation created a difficult balance between following the law and sharing useful information. For a content creator whose entire channel was based on teaching repair skills, this became a serious concern. There was a real fear that certain videos could lead to warnings, fines, or even legal trouble. For a large company, these risks might be manageable, but for an individual creator, they could be devastating. The possibility of facing large financial penalties added another layer of stress to an already challenging situation. Instead of stepping back, she chose to speak out about the issue. She used her platform to raise awareness and explain why the ability to repair equipment is important. This idea, often called the right to repair, is based on the belief that people should have the freedom to fix their own belongings without unnecessary restrictions. She argued that repairing and maintaining machines is not only practical, but also better for the environment in the long run. Throwing away equipment and replacing it with new products creates more waste and uses more resources. By encouraging repair, people can reduce waste and save money at the same time. Her willingness to discuss these topics showed that she was not just focused on her own success, but also on helping others understand larger issues that affect everyday life. Through all these challenges, one thing became very clear. Her journey was no longer just about running a shop or making videos. It had turned into something much bigger. She had become a voice for a community of people who believe in learning practical skills and solving problems on their own. This shift did not happen overnight, but it grew naturally as she shared her experiences and spoke about the challenges she faced. Her audience was not just watching her content for entertainment. They were connecting with her story and the values she represented. Many people saw their own struggles reflected in her journey, whether it was dealing with work pressure, financial difficulties, or the challenge of balancing different responsibilities. This connection gave her a unique position where her words could influence and inspire others. As she continued to speak about issues like burnout, digital identity, and repair rights, she became more than just a content creator. She became an advocate for change, using her platform to highlight problems that often go unnoticed. However, this new role also came with its own challenges. Speaking out on important issues can attract both support and criticism. Not everyone agrees on topics like government regulations or the role of technology, and sharing strong opinions can lead to debate. Despite this, she remained focused on what she believed was right. Her main goal was to help people understand the importance of knowledge and independence. She wanted her audience to feel confident in their ability to fix things and make informed decisions. This message is especially important in a world where many products are designed to be replaced rather than repaired. By encouraging people to learn and take action, she was helping to keep valuable skills alive. At the same time, she continued to adapt her content to fit her new reality. Without the physical shop, her videos began to focus more on education and discussion, rather than just showing daily repair work. This allowed her to continue connecting with her audience while adjusting to her new circumstances. Her journey shows that even when one chapter ends, another can begin, often in unexpected ways. It also highlights the importance of resilience and the ability to adapt when facing change. Through all the ups and downs, she continued to move forward, finding new ways to use her skills and share her knowledge with the world. As her journey continued, the emotional weight of everything she had experienced began to settle in a deeper way. Closing the shop, dealing with online pressure, facing digital identity issues, and speaking out against regulations were not separate problems anymore. They had all become part of a single story that changed how she saw her life and work. For many years, her identity was closely tied to being a small business owner and a hands-on mechanic. The shop was not just a workplace. It was a symbol of everything she had built through hard work and dedication. Letting go of that part of her life was not easy, even if it was the right decision. There were moments of doubt where she questioned whether she had made the right choice. It is natural to feel uncertain after such a big change, especially when it involves leaving behind something that has been a part of daily life for so long. However, at the same time, there was also a growing sense of clarity. Without the constant pressure of managing the shop, she finally had the space to think about what she truly wanted for the future. This period of reflection allowed her to see her situation from a new perspective. She began to understand that success is not just about growth or numbers, but also about sustainability and well-being. Working nonstop without rest is not a sign of success if it leads to burnout and health problems. This realization is something many people can relate to, especially in a world where productivity is often valued more than personal well-being. She started to shift her focus toward creating a more balanced life, where work and rest could exist together. This did not mean giving up on her goals or ambitions. Instead, it meant approaching them in a smarter and healthier way. Her content also began to reflect this change. Rather than trying to keep up with a constant schedule, she focused on making meaningful videos that provided real value to her audience. This shift helped her reconnect with the original reason she started creating content in the first place. It was not just about views or income, it was about sharing knowledge and helping others. By returning to this core purpose, she was able to rebuild her motivation in a way that felt more natural and less forced. This stage of her journey shows the importance of stepping back and reevaluating priorities when life becomes overwhelming. Looking at the bigger picture, her story reflects a challenge that many people face in different forms. The idea of balancing work, personal life, and financial stability is something that affects individuals across many professions. In her case, the combination of a physical business and a digital career made this balance even more difficult. However, the lessons from her experience can be applied to many situations. One of the most important lessons is the need to recognize limits. It is easy to keep pushing forward, especially when things seem to be going well from the outside. Success can create pressure to do more, achieve more, and never slow down. But ignoring limits can lead to serious consequences over time. Physical health, mental well-being, and relationships can all be affected when work becomes overwhelming. Another important lesson is the value of adaptability. The world is constantly changing, especially with